Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present Girls vs. Ghost Media's Spooky Talk with Madison Smith from Madison Paranormal. You can find Spooky Talk every other Sunday, 6 Eastern, 5 Central, right here live on Paranormal Buzz Radio. Be sure to join in the live interactive chat by going to Spreaker.com or downloading the Spreaker app for all devices.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host, Madison Smith.
Hi everyone, I'm Madison Smith. I'd like to welcome you all to Spooky Talk with Maddie. Tonight's guest is someone I've watched on Travel Channel for quite a while. He is a commentator on an awesome show called Paranormal Caught on Tape. This is Mr. Brian J Cano.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Pretty good, and yourself?
Doing well, doing well. It's a new year, and looking forward to everything that's could be brought with 2021. Keeping that positive outlook.
Totes. You know, I try to keep a positive outlook. It's not working.
Well, the year's young. It's you're young, so you've got a lot to look forward to. We all do. So all we could do is the best we can. So let's just kind of keep our heads down, but our thoughts high.
Great advice. I'm just trying to come up with words. I'm just like,
words.
Words are great, you know. Mr. Corman being like, oh, they're important. Yeah, I guess they are, once you think about it, but...
They are. They really are. And, I mean, think of the English language. We have so many different words to describe the exact same thing, but each of them has a slight difference. So, yeah, we have to be careful with our words. We have to choose them properly.
Yeah. Kind of like how live and live are the same type. Like, they're spelled the same, but they don't mean the same thing, you know?
Yes, exactly. And there's also the discrepancy between doing good and doing well. So a lot of words that people think mean the same thing mean something different. And just think that's just grammar. That's just English. When it comes to the paranormal, where we don't have definitions locked down and it seems to be something different to everyone, that's where a lot of the confusion comes in.
Mm-hmm. Trust me, I'm still trying to figure out there, and there, and your. It's great. I don't even know how I got into my classes, just to be honest, or how I'm passing them at this point.
You're in the interesting phase right now, so enjoy it.
Trust me, algebra and Spanish.
Okay.
Never. No. Never again. Like, algebra is okay. Spanish, I just don't like the teacher.
Oh.
I don't like her.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Like, she always calls me out, and I'm just like, excuse me, I'm sorry. Like, you're not teaching me anything. You're just giving me a handbook and just saying, okay, read it. You should know what to do. I'm like, you gotta teach me before I can read it. Yeah.
There you go. You'll get through it.
Yeah. Okay, So anyone in the comments, if you have any questions, make sure to comment them, and I shall transfer them, you know? It's great. It's great. Today's going to be a great show, you know?
It's going to be amazing.
I know, right? Sorry if I'm a bit off today.
No worries. It's Sunday. And on the 7th day, our brains rest.
Yeah, I had practice yesterday, and then I have practice today, and I didn't get a good sleep last night, so it's great. It's great. Life's great, you know? One day I'll get a good rest, the next I'll just be sleep deprived.
Perspective.
And that's why I have cheese and crackers. And also why I brought Tuffy on. Yes, I know, I have stuffed animals in here. It's sad, I know.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, my life's pretty sad, but moving on. Lightening the subject. Okay, so Shay has the first question of the podcast.
All right, Shay, bring it on.
How did he get into the paranormal?
I think that's your first question for everybody. So is that Shay or is that you? Or are you Shay?
Wait, actually, Shay?
Is this like a Tyler Durden thing? Like you talk to yourself, but Shay's just an alternate reality perspective of yourself?
You know what I do? Talk to myself a lot, so...
No worries. Whether it's coming from Shay or from you, how I got into this? Well, I feel like I've always been interested in the paranormal. And as a young kid, I was always fascinated by the mysteries of our world, the urban legends, the tales of mysterious goings-ons around the world. And I was fascinated by a show called In Search Of, starring Leonard Nimoy. And at the end of the show, as the credits rolled, they would do these quick flashes of these pictures of him in different places and different things, and you would see Stonehenge, you would see Loch Ness, you would see all these different scenes, and I would watch it, and that really imprinted on me, thinking, when I get older, I'm going to look into all that stuff. I'm going to get to the bottom of all those mysteries. And when I was 10 years old, Ghostbusters came out. And for those of us who were around when Ghostbusters first hit, that was a big deal. And I know it still inspires people today, but before Ghostbusters, we lived in a world without Ghostbusters. I lived in a world that had the Twin Towers and Ghostbusters and all these amazing things that were hitting us for the first time. We lived in a world before the internet, before texting, before tweeting. You had to go outside and play with your friends. And I'm sounding like an old man now, get off my lawn. But back then, the world was very much a bigger place. It was a big mystery. And there were so many things that were out there that you could really lose yourself in. And as I got older, I got skeptical. I went to college. I had a crisis of faith. I was raised Catholic, but I'm no longer practicing. But in 2002, some friends and I started a local cable access show here in New York City called Scared on Staten Island. And we were very much urban explorers in it, but we decided to get together, grab some cameras, and see if we could get to the bottom of some of the urban legends that were settled upon abandoned places here on Staten Island. And like I said, urban exploration was the kind of underlining topic, but we were looking for ghosts. We were looking for things that went bump in the night. And this was 2 years before Ghost Hunters hit the air. This was before Ghost Adventures. This was before all these things. So we really had nothing to compare ourselves to. We were just those crazy guys who did the things that other people wouldn't. And the manager of our cable access station said, you know, guys, you've got something. Don't be surprised if you start seeing this kind of thing pop up all over the air. I'm like, really? Well, whatever. This is something we do for free on our own time. So, hey, that's great. And you know what? He was right. And 19 years later, here we are.
Bravo. Bravo. Inspiring. Okay. But on the word of Ghostbusters, as you can see, probably. I don't know if it's in the camera, but I'm addicted. Let's just say that. I spend way too much money.
it speaks to us all, and it's funny that so many of us were inspired by Ghostbusters, but for the most part, we don't bust ghosts. We wear the logo. We have so much of the merchandise, and so much of what we do is inspired by. I mean, I've got so much Ghostbusters stuff in my house, but that's not what we do. It's funny though that we are inspired by it. And Ghostbusters were, a couple of parapsychologists who got kicked out of their university and then turned to the capitalist pursuit. Oh, I see you got Stay Puft.
Oh no, I've got more. It's everywhere, literally. It's sad. Like, you know what? Nah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's good to be enthusiastic about something.
Yeah, I just got a new thing, so it's great. My collection is growing, and my room is getting smaller by the minute. It's great, In my dad's wallet, down the drain. It's gone. Okay.
Well, when you get older, it's going to be your money down the drain, and we all spend on the things that we enjoy. And you know what? We work hard so we can enjoy those things. So there's no shame in that.
Then you better believe that I'm getting like 7 fridges.
It's 7
I'm
fridges.
gonna have so much. I'm gonna get so much food.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like,
you do you.
Yeah. Like, I would just sit there watching horror movies, eating food. It's great. Great night. It's just wonderful.
Good.
I'm just trying to talk myself up right now. It's great.
No, it is good. I mean, think of it this way. There's entire streaming platforms now just to horror movies. There's, now that most of the travel programming has gone to Discovery Plus, and believe me, I was one of the last people to know about that. And I'm on a show, and I still have to subscribe to it myself. So for those of you listening who are like, oh, why'd they do this? And oh, this is horrible. I get it. But this is where entertainment is going. A lot of people have been leaving cable for some time now, for years. This is where the business is going. And I know Discovery and their umbrella of stations is just responding to that in an effort to maintain. So all the shows that you love to watch for free, well, you're not watching them for free because you're paying for cable. Many people have not been able to see the shows because they no longer have cable or no longer have a package that contains those channels. So believe me, I know it's confusing. I know it's frustrating. We too shall get past this and hopefully back to enjoying the things that we love to watch.
All right. On to the next topic.
On to the next.
All right. So, you like urban legends, as you said. What would be your all-time favorite one, or the most interesting one in your opinion?
Well, that's a tough question. I'm notoriously horrible with quote-unquote favorite questions because there's just so many X factors to consider that I can never choose just one. And my friends are frustrated by that. They're like, oh, come on, Brian, just make a choice. And I usually can't. But I think as far as urban legends go, I'm not so sure if it's necessarily an urban legend, but I'm fascinated by situations that are evergreen, that even when we have proof, when we have things to solve a mystery, we allow the mystery to continue. I guess a good example of that would be, say, Jack the Ripper. Mm-hmm. There is a alleged evidence, and there's several people I know who say, yeah, they know exactly who it is, and this is who it is. Here's the proof, but there's no money in the truth. There's no more tourism. There's no more walking tours if that mystery is not still alive. Then let's bring it closer to home. The Lizzie Borden house in Fall River, Massachusetts, like that, as far as I know, no one knows for sure. But it's binary. She either did it or she didn't. And either way, even if they come up with solid evidence, there's always going to be people considering the other side. Well, what if? And they'll want to play that mystery out in their minds. And I have a local friend of mine. She's an artist and an author, and she just came out with a book called Inadmissible. Her name is Kimbra Eberly, and she's devoted a great amount of her life to the Lizzie Borden case. It's safe to say she's a Lizzie Borden historian. And I'm always fascinated that people will fixate on one thing and say, yes, I'm so into this that every spare moment is going to be devoted to it. And that's what keeps the mystery going. That's what keeps us searching.
Mm-hmm. Like, I cannot do favorite questions either, so don't feel bad. I overthink like every single one. So don't worry. You're not alone.
I think it also depends on my mood too. So if I can be in the mood for A and then go, oh well, B is interesting, or oh well, what about C? So I'm good. I'm the one who, when I buy donuts, I will buy the variety pack that has a little bit of everything in it because I never know what I'll be in the mood for.
Yeah, like for me, it can be like a yes or no question, and I'll still overthink it entirely. It's great. Like, somebody can ask me a yes or no question, and I'll sit there like, I don't know, is it yes or no? I don't know.
It's definitely good to consider both sides and to gather the alternatives and weigh them individually. But yeah, sometimes you can spend a lot of time in inaction while pondering the choices and then doing nothing. And that too isn't always great. I know that from personal experience.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, what's your favorite place that you've been to for the paranormal and everything?
Another favorite question. I love these questions. What's my favorite place?
Or the most interesting, if you'd like to term it that way.
It's more of just a synonym of pick one above all others. I think for me, currently, that answer is X, where X equals a place I've never been to before that will present me with different facts, different ideas, something that I can learn from. But in the past, I've been to so many different interesting places, down in Australia, Northern Ireland, England, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, down in Peru, Canada. Almost every state in the nation has some spot that has taught me something. But when it comes to a spot that I've returned to over and over and over again that has taught me more than one lesson, I guess it would have to be the Grand Midway Hotel in Windber, Pennsylvania. And this was a place that I went to with my home team of Scared. I went back there with Haunted Collector. I've been back there for various events and sometimes just social situations. I found myself incarcerated there for a week as I did something called Writer's Jail several years back. I landed myself in the Guinness Book of World Records as me and some of the other members of Team Grand Midway painted the world's largest Ouija board on the roof of the building. That is a record that's been held because it's still on the roof. It's a permanent fixture. And it's always going to be Grand Midway, Grand Midway, Grand Midway, Grand Midway. And I've had so many experiences there, I could fill a book.
Tell me some of your, most interesting experiences there. I want to hear this.
The first time I ever found myself at the Grand Midway Hotel was for an investigation where the activity that was present had possible demonic origins. And, of course, being skeptical in nature, I'm thinking, okay, sure, everything is demonic. Someone's watching too much TV. And it really did come down to something that, while there, my team pretty much checked off all the boxes of possible things that could be experienced. I heard voices. I was hearing whispers. My buddy Chris felt like he kept getting touched. Lisa Ann, our psychic, was communing with something, We got things on tape. We got things on the camera. We got an amazing EVP. An EVP that said, "Can you break out the circle of fire?" The second voice paused for a moment and then chimed up, "Die." And if I had if I had a nickel for every get out EVP that people have collected over the years, I would never have to work again. But I would trade all that in for this one crazy EVP that we got that I think was just so unique. And it set off a kind of a depressing time in our lives, because the evidence, the proof that, yeah, there's something negative, there's something bad, there's something evil out there right next to us, right around us at all times, was very disheartening. And for the next 2 years, it took about that time, about 2 years for us to go back. I went back with Haunted Collector. We did an episode in season 2 at the Grand Midway, and it just felt like, okay, there's nothing we could do. The world is becoming a darker place with really crummy things in it, and it doesn't seem like there's much we can do to combat it. And when we went back in that second season episode, one of the things that happened to us the first time we were there is that EVP we got came across mostly in the voice of the owner of the place. And we knew for a fact that he was at work across town when we were doing our investigation. And when we came back, John Zaffis, the head of our team, star of the show, got another EVP in the owner's voice. And I'm thinking, oh no, this thing that we tangled with all those years ago is still here, and it's gaining strength, and it's increasing its territory, and oh no, what's going to happen? And my buddy Chris, who was with me that first time, was also there to do an interview for the show as a witness for what happened to us when we were there prior. And ever since that first time, he wears a cross around his neck, a silver cross. And he said, well, if there's evil in the world, there's good, and you have to choose a side. And when John got that EVP, I rushed back to the hotel and I said, Chris, I'm worried. I'm nervous. John got an EVP, same voice. I think that thing is still there. And he goes, well, what did John say? I said, well, I asked him. I said, well, what can we do about this? And John, in his typical fashion, paused, kind of stroked the bristles of his beard, looked at me and go, it'll be all right. And that answer really unnerved me, because I'm like, okay, you are the godfather of the paranormal. You are the self-titled demonologist. If you don't think there's anything to be done about this, who's going to do it? And I told Chris, I think John's been compromised. And as I'm ranting and raving on the street corner, we're standing in front of his sheets. This is a fact that normally would have excited me. I'm completely stressed now, telling him what just happened. And I see the light glinting off of his cross. And I'm not very much a religious person. Like I said, I'm no longer a practicing Catholic, but I still have all the old guilt and the stories and the teachings. And just pretty much what Chris had said to me back then brought it all to focus that, yeah, if there's evil, there's balance, and that means there's good in the world. And it forced me to go back and reevaluate that EVP that we had gotten, and especially because it was in two voices, one asking a question, the other delivering a response. And so many investigators in their hubris believe that every question that is asked must be answered and directed towards them, simply because they're the ones doing the asking. Now, that EVP, can you break out the circle of fire? We were confused. We didn't know what it meant. We didn't know how it applied to us. The second response, die, we assumed it was for us. The thing was angry, wanted us to die. And no one ever wants to hear that. That's depressing. And yet, neither one had anything to do with us. We just happened to be present. We happened to be adjacent to a conversation where one spirit was talking to another. And one would ask, can you break out? Can you break out that circle of fire? Almost like a prison guard asking an inmate, hey, how are you liking those bars? Can you get out of your cell? and the prisoner being really angry and saying something nasty to the guard. Well, it wasn't to us, but it showed that no, we were not the ones who had to fight this evil. We were not necessarily the ones who had to keep it in check alone. There was something else unseen, not evil, but its opposite, standing guard, keeping watch. And from that time on, I felt a lot better. I felt relief. I felt elation almost that, the reinforcements are here. And not only are they here, they've been here the entire time. And yeah, we do have to choose a side. And we're seeing it, in the world today, with sides being chosen. But I mean, there is a marked difference between good and evil. And in these intangible situations, yeah, I've chosen my side, and I'm glad to not be in a gray area where that is concerned. So yeah, Grand Midway. a lot happened there. A lot has been taught to me from there, and continues to teach me, even to this day.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah. Like I said, I could write a book.
You should. Like,
I am.
oh yeah, that's gonna be great.
Oh, thank you.
And then before I do forget, would you like to shout yourself out, social medias or anything where people can find you?
Social media. I'm on Twitter at Brian J Cano. I also have an Instagram account at the same handle at Brian J Cano. I'm easy to find on Facebook, but fear not, because Facebook, it puts a limit on friends. You can follow me. If I don't accept your friend request, it's probably because I'm already at a max, so don't worry about it. But if you really want to get into the inner circle of Brian and everything that I'm doing, go to my website, neverstopsearching.com, or become a patron of mine on Patreon. World Wide Web, www.patreon.com/Brian J Cano. We do a lot of cool things there. We're growing a great community, and to be a part of it, all you have to do is sign up.
Wow. All right. So we do have a few questions in the comments.
All right.
So, Okay. So there's two from Matt. The first one is, what's Brian's favorite piece of equipment?
The favorites keep on coming.
It's great.
On Haunted Collector, I was the tech guy. Brian, my tech guy. So I was in charge of all the gadgets and the gear, and you saw every episode I would drag these two huge cases of equipment to and from the investigations. And I always tell people that when it comes to the work, there's a bell curve of acquiring and using equipment, that when you first start, you don't know what to get. You don't really have much yet. You might get one piece of equipment. You might have something, and that's it. And as you go along, either you or someone in a group that you join starts to gather and acquire and really tech out and bring all the stuff. And then you're at the top of this bell curve, to the point where now you're so busy looking at your gadgets, setting up the equipment, worrying about the cameras, getting the batteries, doing this, doing that you're completely missing everything that's going on around you. So once you realize that, you come down on the other side of the bell curve, and you start to only bring the things that you feel you need. And me personally, I'm well on the other side of that now, that I have a web belt. It's kind of like a Batman's utility belt, and just whatever I could put on that belt that I can grab. It's portable. The only things I bring with me is my Mel meter, a digital audio recorder, a flashlight, and my pendulum. And as far as equipment, I really do rely on that digital audio recorder, because I feel that of all the possible evidence that we could collect, there's something definitely more convincing to me about a disembodied voice that we didn't hear at the time. Ghost boxes, spirit boxes, things of that respect, portals, whatever they want to call them or term them these days, they all operate on the same basic principle, that they're calling, they're bringing in radio waves. And because there is doubt in the collection of those methods, I will always be doubtful. Now, to that end, I've developed some systems to help reduce randomness in them. But for me, when it comes to like, hey, Brian, what do you really like using? It's my audio recorder, because it's pretty much, just me and the spirits. I'll ask a question and hopefully they respond.
Mm-hmm. And then what are your thoughts on pendulums and dowsing rods, like the stuff that you control practically?
Those are the old school tools, the metaphysical things of days gone by, but we still use them today. I'm not too big a fan of the dowsing rods. That's probably because I can't get them to work. I've seen a lot of my peers using them, and I've seen a lot of my peers moving their hands, and probably unconsciously. And it's not like I say they mean to do it, but just for me, it's not enough. But that being said, I won't say that it's unreliable or can't or shouldn't be used. It's just not for me. But a pendulum, poof. The tech guy from Haunted Collector, if you had told me in 2012 that I'd be using a pendulum here, now, in the present, I would have probably disbelieved you. But in recent years, ever since my trip to Northern Ireland, I feel like something... Actually, that's not true. Let's rewind that even further. Was it Northern Ireland? No, it was a trip to Tombstone that really made me think that this is something I could try. This is something I could use. You don't have to necessarily be a medium or psychic or someone psychically inclined to use a pendulum. And these days, more often than not, ask someone who's been on an event with me in the past year. I will break out the pendulum almost every time just to see. And it has nothing to do really with the investigation. This often doesn't glean me any information about the case I'm working on. Usually, it's just a method by which messages are delivered to people who are present. So I've become a paranormal postal worker of sorts.
Yeah, I have my pendulum in here too, so I can relate.
I dig it.
And then what are your thoughts on Ouija boards or Ouija boards?
Ouija boards, I think, get a bad rap. There's a lot of superstition surrounding them. There's a lot of bad press and Hollywood's reputation that goes behind them. However, I will say that I don't use them for the main purpose that, not that I believe they're evil. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of misconceptions about them and superstitions. Mm-hmm. There's nothing inherently powerful or negative or even positive about a Ouija board. It's just a piece of cardboard. You can make one on a piece of loose leaf paper. You could draw it right now and start using one. The difference is that as opposed to other methods of investigation, now there are those people who will say, well, anytime you reach out or use a device or any kind of contact, you are opening yourself up to the spirit world. And yes, that's true. However, when I'm conducting an EVP session or doing something with a gadget or even the pendulum, never am I saying use my body to make it work. And the fact that people have to place their hands onto the planchette and move it around, and their body is a conduit for that. I'm not comfortable with that. So no matter who or what is coming through, I don't give permission for that. You want to knock the stone at the end of my pendulum around? Yeah, go for that. But you leave me alone. And of course, it's a lot more complex than that. But I feel that once people realize there is nothing to fear about the board itself, and once they understand that it's what you do with it and how you do use it if you choose to, there are people who still, to this day, will take out a Ouija board to try to get information. And if you think about it, it's a lot easier than the pendulum as far as getting answers, because a pendulum, it's binary. It's either yes or no, A or B. Mm-hmm. And if you want to spell out a name, if you want to do something, you're going to be there for some time. But a Ouija board, you just go letter, and allegedly get some answers. So I know why people still want to employ it. But that being said, as with anything that one would use on investigation. You have to respect it, know how to use it, and have your guard up.
Mm-hmm. Like, I have a bunch of Ouija boards. For instance, I literally have one right here.
The pink ones.
Yeah, it's great. Comes with everything, too. Oh.
Everything.
Yeah, because with the bag, question cards, it's great, you know? Why it's pink, I don't know.
Marketing.
Yeah. Like, I can't remember the name of the woman, but it was themed after, like, her sketchbook or something. It was, like, Lisa something. I can't remember her freaking name, but she made coloring books, and I remember coloring in one as a kid.
Okay.
Lisa Frank, maybe? Is that it? I don't know. But that was a Ouija board themed after her art style. But yeah. Like, I agree with you. Ouija boards, they get a really bad rep. My big thing is, do not leave the door open, you know? If you're gonna use the Ouija board, at least say goodbye at the end. Because if you don't, you're just leaving the door wide open, in my opinion, and that is not safe. So, ta-da.
You're right about that.
All right. Back to the questions of the comments.
Back to the questions of the comments.
Yep. All right. Another one from Matt. Is there a location he will not go back to?
If I don't go back to a location, usually it's because there's living people there that I don't like. But as far as a haunted location that may have given me a scare or something like that, so far I don't think so. I feel like every place I go to has something to show me, something to teach me, and it's always good to go back multiple times to try to get as much as you can out of that experience. Sometimes, though, I will willfully not go to a place when I feel like I've been there too much or people have been there too much and it's overdone. It's like, oh, okay, everyone's been here. It needs time to cool off, so I'm not going to go there for some time. Especially like when a location gets onto a TV show and then everyone's like, oh my God, this place is the most haunted place. Well, it's just because you know about it now, it doesn't up or increase or lessen what's there. But then a lot of people want to go and recreate exactly what happened to the TV investigators. And I think that just mixes up the bag a little bit. So even, I mean, in a place that really I had a fright, I had a touch with something demonic, the Grand Midway Hotel. I went back there, and every time I did, I was a little nervous about that room on the third floor where we had the encounter. And sometimes I would go into it. Sometimes I would stand outside of it and just speak into it like, all right, you stay in there, I'll be out here, until the presence that was there eventually was cleared out and it's no longer at that location. I'm thankful for that. But yeah, I guess to answer the question very, very succinctly, thus far there's no place that I would not return to for reasons of, I was too scared to return.
That's good.
I think, though, it's if I'm scared by a place, I should go back because I want to confront that fear. I would want to get to the bottom of it and try to conquer it.
Like the Ghostbusters say, I ain't afraid no ghost, you know? Sorry, I just had to quote that. Perfect use of it. It's great. All right. There's another question from Mama Deb. How do you feel about blind investigations?
I think they're absolutely necessary. If it's something that you're doing as a true researcher, going in blind for me, the first time is always the way to go, because to avoid bias. I mean, I just mentioned it before. People watch TV shows and then try to recreate exactly what happened to those investigators in their own experiences. And I think that's not really the way to go at it, because if you want to have an experience and not just walk in the footsteps of the person who came before you. I mean, if that's what you want to do, stay at home and watch a rerun of that show, and you can experience it over and over and over again. But when I go to a place, you always encounter very enthusiastic people who have a great pride, who have a great enthusiasm for their cherished location. And they want to tell you about all the ghosts in every room. And I know a lot of times they're trying to cozy up to me because they think I can get them on TV. That's not the case. But even when that's not the case, I tell them, look, I don't want to know anything. I want to go into this completely blind because I don't want my experience to be altered by my knowledge of what may be here. Let me go through, let me have my own observations and my own time, and at the end, let's compare notes. And if they match, cool, that's great. That just lends to the story. Or even if I had a different experience, that will add to the story. And I feel that if you're going to do research at a place, like, yes, okay. If you're going to be there for the long haul and go back several times, there will be the time for looking into the history of the land, the family, the people, all that. There is a time and a place for all that. But blind investigating, I think, is very pure because you're not trying to fulfill a prophecy that was told to you either by a friend or a TV or the caretaker, what have you.
Very good explanation.
I try.
I know, and you would succeed too.
Thank you, Madison.
Got you. All right, let's see. So, do you have any upcoming events or anything that you'd like to promote on the show or anything?
Oh, man. Upcoming events. Yeah, I feel like despite the craziness happening in the world, I've been operating COVID safe since August of last year. I've somehow managed to get events going. And the next event I've got coming up is going to be at the Bolton Mansion in Levittown, Pennsylvania. But one of them, the two events that I'm very, very, very excited about that are coming up. One is happening in June. I'm going to be investigating Ohio State Reformatory, a.k.a. Shawshank Prison, as seen in the Shawshank Redemption. I'm a big fan of this place. I've gone back several times, and I'm going to be spending a weekend there where on the Saturday, it's about ghosts and hunting. On the Sunday, it's about the movie and my fandom. So you can check that out on my website. And also, it's booking right now, and it's going to be booking through February. That's the time limit to get the special pricing. I'm going to be doing a tour of Wales in the United Kingdom. It's the Mystical Legends of Wales tour, and it goes from July 23rd to the 31st. It's 9 days and 8 nights of a most mystical and unforgettable experience. We're going to be investigating castles and old pubs and old buildings and castles and castles and castles. It's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to go. And all the details for this you can go find on my website, neverstopsearching.com/events.
So do you just really like castles or something, or?
If they have it up, I'm gonna go check it out. And Wales and just the United Kingdom in general has so many castles that this trip is going to be filled with them, and I am excited to go. There still are some spots available. I know a lot of people are holding their breath, waiting to see what's going to happen with COVID. But I got to tell you, you got to lock in your position on the tour now because things will get better. And even if it does continue, it will be postponed. But you don't want to lose your spot. So definitely, if this is something that interests you, Wales, me, castles, sign up. You don't want to miss it.
I've only been to one castle, and I can't remember the name of it. I have a little card somewhere. But it was really fun. Because I was the shortest one there, and I could fit through all the cubby holes and secret spots. And they were just waiting there what did you see? And I was like, I'm doing it again. There was so many little nooks and crannies that I could just slide into, and everyone else was just like, so how's it look? And I was just in there like, hey, I'm not coming out.
Mhm.
This is great.
Well, it's
Whenever
amazing
I just
that this
didn't want
was
to talk to somebody, it's great.
castles used to be the backbone of our defense. This used to be what we centered around. This was what would defend towns, and people lived their lives, and you could really see the separation of class by who lived in the castle, who worked in the castle, who was around the castle, and the fact that some of these structures are still standing to this day. It's amazing. There's so much history. There's so many things that those stones have witnessed and been through that just to walk through those areas, it's amazing. I can't wait.
Like, my favorite part of there was his bookshelf. It was like in the movies, you know? Like, when they, like, open up the bookshelf, you know? And there's like a little secret cathedral back there. That was really nice. The window was beautiful. Like, I cannot imagine how long it took just to, like, make that window. Because it was, like, one of the stained glass ones. It was really nice.
Right.
And then before we started the investigation, we saw turkeys.
Wild turkeys?
It was great.
Crazy.
And then another part of the castle, which was one of the nooks and crannies that only I could fit in, somebody had, like, boosted me up onto this ladder. And then, like, so I'm going to try to explain this without being, like, way too confusing.
Okay.
So, you go up, there's a platform. You step off the ladder, you have to turn around, get on another ladder, and then, like, part of the roof is in there, so you have to be, like, really careful, or the roof, like, stabs you in the ribs. Trust me, I take it from experience. But either way, once you get through there, you have to crawl through, like, a little crawl space area. And then there's, like, this little balcony with the night on it that you can look down. And then it's, like, a living room below it.
Oh.
And everyone was just waiting there, just waiting for me, like, how you doing? And I'm just trying to, like, yelling back. I'm like, I'm good! But it was steaming hot up there. So...
No, I think you painted the picture quite well. So, poof.
Yeah. Like, by the time that I got out, I was sweating just because of, like, I was wearing a hoodie because I was scared that there was going to be, like, cobwebs. Luckily, all the spiders were dead, so I just kind of brushed them off. I'm like, no, go. Leave.
Yeah.
So, once I cleared a path for myself with the hood, I went back up there, like, a million other times. Just exploring. It was great, you know? It was fun.
Cool.
And then there was this other one, like, it was, like, in a wall. Like, you literally went in the wall. It was weird. Like, I'm going to try to explain this one. So, it's like a really narrow, like, rectangle that you, like, go in sideways, right? I'm trying. But, once again, I was the only one who could fit in there. So I got in. It wasn't that terribly bad, but there was a rusty nail that I almost stepped on, so that was great.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for those nails.
Yeah, I'm good though. I lived to survive. We're all good. But there was like a chimney in there and everything, or there was like a brick part of it that was like falling down. And then there was a ladder in there, which it was just like a little platform that you just got up on, like, you know, just like hang out. There was nothing to the room. It was just like a ladder and little platform. It was for the kids, you know, and I'm a kid, so it was great.
So all right, what is your desire? What is your goal? What is, because you've been hosting this show, talking to so many people. You're soaking up all this de facto experience, and this is great. This is like getting mentored by some pretty prolific figures out there. What is your next step? What do you want to do?
Like, I don't really have a goal, but I do have a goal, you know? Like, for me, I got into the paranormal because I want to learn more about the history and everything, and if the afterlife is really a thing. Like, I've always believed in it, and I still do, but I do question it a lot.
Mm-hmm. As you should.
Like, I'm just curious, you know? Like, it's weird, you know? It's great. It's great.
There is a really good documentary right now on Netflix called Surviving Death. And it's done well. It's done so well that I don't recognize almost anybody on the show. There's no of our usual entertainment people, but there's a lot of scientists and witnesses and people. The only person I recognize is the president of the SPR, Society for Psychical Research, out in the UK. And it goes into near-death experiences, mediums, signs from the dead, reincarnation. Mm-hmm. I definitely recommend it, giving it a viewing.
Will do. Netflix, here I come.
Netflix.
We're adding you to my watch laters.
There you go.
Okay, let's see this. What's it called?
Surviving Death.
Oh, no, wrong one. There. Found it. My anime watch laters can wait. Okay.
Oh, okay, well, here you go. Favorite anime. Go.
Haikyuu.
Okay.
There's a lot.
For me, it's Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh my god, yes. Like, I don't have any merch from Haikyuu, but I want merch. Like, really bad.
Okay.
The only merch that I have is from freaking My Hero Academia. That's... Yeah. It's pretty sad.
Like I said, whatever you're into, it's good to be into something. It's good to be enthusiastic about something. It's definitely I don't think there's anything sad about it at all.
Yeah. All right. What should we talk about next?
You tell me. You're the host.
Oh yeah, you've got a point.
Yes.
Well, so we only have a couple more minutes left. So, I'm really trying to come up with a perfect conversation, you know?
Well, the thing about the paranormal is that this could be a 10-hour show, and we would still not even come close to exhausting all the topics and the areas that the paranormal has to offer. I've been doing this for 19 years, and I'm constantly amazed and surprised, and just so many things present themselves that I didn't expect, that I know for years to come this will be something that I might look at. And because there's been so much change, like 2002 Brian, when I first started Unscared on Staten Island with my friends, and I was the skeptic, and now you have 2021 Brian, who's a skeptical believer, who's been through and seen a lot. If those two versions of myself ever could sit in a room and talk, I don't know if they would get along necessarily, because their views differ so much. And if I were to forecast into the future in 2040, what would I be doing in 2040? Would 2040 Brian and 2021 Brian have the same views? And I don't know. It's quite a thing to consider.
Okay, I came up with an idea.
Do it.
Alternate dimensions. Do you believe in it?
I do. The more we learn about quantum physics, the more we learn about things in our universe on a very seemingly small level, we realize that there's a lot that's all around us that we haven't even considered. And I've always been a big fan. Again, it always goes back to pop culture. I've been a big fan of movies like Back to the Future, time travel movies. It captures the imagination. It thrills us all to think. It's also very scary to think that such a thing is possible. But also, when it comes to alternate realities, consider that maybe when you think you're speaking to someone who's passed on, you think you're talking to a spirit or a ghost. Maybe you're communing with someone in another dimension who is very much alive. Maybe the cryptozoologists and the squatchers who are running around the forest looking for Bigfoot, thinking that he's holed up in a cave somewhere. Maybe Bigfoot is an interdimensional creature that phases in between the planes of existence when they touch. Maybe it's something on purpose. Maybe it's an accident. Maybe aliens come to us not from far off galaxies, but from spaces physically very close to our own, but just off by very small frequencies. Like I said, there's a lot to consider. There's a lot to think. There's a lot that we could talk about, and we'll barely scratch the surface.
Okay, now you've just got me thinking.
That's what I do.
You know what? No. Okay. Okay, so like out of all the shows and programs that you've done, what was like your favorite cast of people to work with?
Hands down, Haunted Collector, because all the other shows I do, I don't really get to be with my castmates. So as great a group as Paranormal Caught on Camera has, we're sprinkled throughout the country, so I very rarely get to see them. And Haunted Collector, we were literally a family, so sometimes we got on each other's nerves, but more often than not, we had a lot of fun. We laughed, we explored, and there's really something to be said about being on an international or national road trip with your friends.
The thing is, I remember watching The Haunted Collector, like, vividly.
Really?
Like, yeah, like...
All right, so now, I think I know how old you are, but how old are you?
I'm 13.
Okay. Haunted Collector premiered in 2011. That was 10 years ago. You were 3 when it came out.
Exactly. And the thing is, I remember sitting in the basement. I remember sitting in the basement, and this is, like, when I first started. I remember seeing your show, and I was like, oh my god, yes. Like, whenever it would air, I would literally be like, Dad, I don't want to watch NASCAR. Turn the channel. It was great. And, like, I remember some of the episodes. Like, one of them, you were, like, digging into a wall, and you found bones and had to get them tested, and they turned out to be animals or something.
Bare Bones Tattoo Shop. Yep, I remember.
Yep. And then there was another one that had, like, a horse in it, and then it was, like, a telephone pole. You either dug something up or, like, buried something? I don't know.
I think there was 2 episodes. The one with the horse, that was actually right after I injured my back, so I was not going anywhere near a horse. But I do remember the one in Connecticut where Badger and I had to hike a few miles out to the crossroads to dig up this thing, that the owner had buried.
Yeah, and it was like disturbing the livestock or something, and I just know that it had a horse in it, and like in the middle episode it just like started freaking out. And I'm pretty sure it was like a ranch or something close to that. I can't remember much of it. I just remember that.
We had a few things, but this is perfect because just as Ghostbusters inspired me, and all those years later, then I'm now doing what I saw because I'm doing that, and I was inspired by something my show was on in your formative years that inspired you, and now you're doing something, and we continue to pass the torch. We continue to pass that inspiration along, and I'm honored that you watched our show and A, wanted to see it more than NASCAR, and B, thought enough of it to say, this is something that I feel has value looking forward. And you'll tell people in 10 years from now when you're on a show and they're like, okay, so Madison, what inspired you? And you'll be like, when I was young, there was a show called Haunted Collector. And
yes.
It's round and round it goes. I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah, there was like a lot of shows, but like that one was like my all-time favorite. That was the one like where when it came on, I was like, Dad, I don't care if you're watching NASCAR. I don't care. And I remember, so one of the main things I would watch as a kid is Backyardigans. The one DVD that I kept is Great to Be a Ghost because it was my favorite episode. Thank you, Pablo, for shaping me. It's great. Like, I don't know where the rest of it is. Same with Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo. Bomb. I watch that all the time.
Yeah, even before Ghostbusters, we were all raised on Scooby-Doo. And, I mean, my show, Scared on Staten Island, was very Scooby-Doo-ish because just like them, no one invited us to go to these places. We're just some friends. We decided to go along. Nobody hired the Scooby Gang to go anywhere. That's not like, we're having problems. Call the guy with the ascot and his friends. And make sure they bring the dog. No, none of it. They just happened along it. They stumbled into the mystery. And they had an adventure, and that was us. So I was inspired by Ghostbusters, but I feel like those first steps were emulating Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, like I'm going to try to find my old Scooby-Doo DVDs and rewatch them because I know that I have like the full thing. I know that, like the old school version. Same with the Globetrotter episode. I have that too. I just don't know where.
Those are some great ones. When they hooked up with the Globetrotters and Batman and Robin, they were campy, but they were so much fun.
Yeah, like those were lit. Okay, so it's 4:31, and I have practice after this, so I'm going to start wrapping this up.
Yes, it's Sunday, and I've got work in the morning, so I'm gonna.
Oh, this is gonna be great.
Yeah, spend the rest of the day. But this was a great time chatting with you, Madison. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you for being on. This was great. All right. Well, I'm starting to see this shadow man right in the corner telling me that our time is almost over. So I'd really like to thank Brian for taking time out of his busy schedule to come on chatting with me, myself, and my listeners here on Spoopy Talk. So you have a great night.
Thank you, Madison.
Mm-hmm. Now, for all my listeners out there, I really like to say thank you for being with me tonight. My next show will be February 7th, and I will be I'm probably going to murder this name, so excuse that. Cad Rola Shehe. I tried, okay? Ona Carroll. Okay, I tried. Give me a break. I have not used my brain in such a long time. Either way, make sure if you're not following me, give me a follow at Madison Paranormal Investigation on Facebook and Maddie_Paranormal_Investigation on Instagram. So for tonight, peace, love, and happiness. And most of all, be spoopy, everyone.